Mr. Zeldin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pummel, who at the VA is responsible for approving of the $288,000 for Ms. Rubins and the $129,000 for Ms. Graves?
The Chief of Staff of the VA is the approval authority for the SES moving incentives and AVO. I don't think that they would approve an exact number. That depends on the appraisals of the house and all that kind of. I don't think they would know that in advance. So.
Aside from the IG investigation that we've been talking about all night, what other investigations may have gone on internally within the VA?
I'm sorry.
Other than the Inspector General's investigation, which was done as a result of this committee requesting it, what kind of investigation has been initiated internally?
Oh, whenever a case like this comes up, we initiate what's called an AIB, which is an internal investigation that we attempt to do in VA. But since the new secretary has arrived, he set up an Office of Accountability where he's brought in a team. And if it involves a senior executive anywhere in VA, they take that investigation from us now and they handle it to make sure that it's done fairly and equitably throughout the VA.
When was that investigation initiated?
I don't know if there was one in this instance. I'd have to take that for the record and find out.
Ms. Halliday, do you know if there was an investigation initiated internally?
I do not know if there was an AIB. I do know that the evidence was turned over to the department to be reviewed by General Counsel and the Office of Accountability and Review, and that they were doing that review.
Do you know, Ms. Halliday, do you have any information as to anyone else being the target of an investigation other than Ms. Rubins and Ms. Graves?
I believe that there is at least one other example of a potential misuse with a recruitment bonus and relocation, but it's in VHA, and that's being handled separately.
Any reason, Mr. Pummel, why, or Ms. Halliday can answer this as well, why there isn't anyone being the target of an investigation for signing off on these exorbitant numbers?
I don't think the investigation was limited to the individuals that got the payouts. I believe everybody in the entire chain of command is under investigation.
To what level?
All the way up to the undersecretary. That was in the IG report, I believe, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so there may be another investigation that was done internally that you don't know about, Mr. Pummel?
I don't believe there was. I just think the Office of Accountability looks at it, the IG looks at it, and of course they've turned it over to the Justice Department, but that's all I'm aware of right now, Congressman.
And Mr. Pummel, you said earlier, I mean, it's your opinion that the VA should be accountable to Congress, correct?
We should be accountable to the American people, the veterans, Congress, everybody. We're going to spend taxpayer dollars to take care of veterans. We have to be accountable.
So, I mean, Ms. Rubins, Ms. Graves, they're the target of these investigations, but it was signed off on by the Chief of Staff. What kind of accountability is being provided other than the target of your investigation? It goes up to the top of the VA.
Congressman, I don't believe that the AVO program or the amounts of the AVO program are really under investigation. I think, this is Danny Pummel speaking, I think the investigation is whether or not people colluded to have people removed from positions so they could take positions. This AVO program is a federal-wide, it's a government program that's used for SESs and GSs throughout the government. The prices that we paid are not exorbitant. They're prices that are paid all over. I personally think it's too much, that we shouldn't be, spending that kind of money in the federal government. But this is a legal, legitimate program that's available to everybody in the federal government.
But Mr. Pummel, going one step further beyond the money, you say Mr. Waller did an excellent job in St. Paul, correct?
Yes, he did.
Okay, and Ms. Graves is coming from a setting where it was underperforming,
right?
Correct? So doesn't it seem like I mean, there are a lot of different examples this committee hears about where if it's not broken, break it, and if it is broken, then cover it up. I mean, this committee has heard hospital construction costs several $100 million over budget, and we're being told here that they're operating off an artificial budget. One colleague asking when she was going to get a timeline of when she's going to get a timeline of there actually being a budget. Here we're on another issue, and Ms. Graves and Ms. Rubins are clearly the targets of an investigation, but there is no evidence whatsoever that anyone else above her in the chain of command, that there's any type of accountability that's being pursued. Is Ms. Graves still in charge at St. Paul?
Yes, she is.
Okay. So I would just offer that accountability to Congress, that accountability to the American public has not yet been provided. Your testimony was not provided to the chairman as he requested. That's why you're only here, because of a subpoena. And that accountability still is desperately in need, and that's why we're meeting tonight, and I appreciate the chairman for having this really important hearing. I yield back.